You know that feeling you get when you leave the house and it feels as though you're riding like 10 men. Everything just clicks. Your booty is popping out of your shorts, seams are literally going bang, and you end up dropping all your mates up the climbs. I tell you, it feels bloody good. Although I have to be honest, I'm not dropping anyone up any climbs. But there's a secret to making this all happen. And as part of this week's video, I'm going to tell you what it's all about. It's going to turn you into an absolute beast on the bike. You're going to feel more stable. You're going to feel more power. You're going to crush your last FTP test, and you'll probably crush your mates up the climbs. I'm talking about those exercises that your physio's probably told you to do in the past that you haven't listened to. Those pre-ride activation drills that take 2 minutes to complete on the carpet before you roll out the door. If you want to hear it all again, this week I'm going to tell you what my pre-ride activation exercises are, and I guarantee it's going to turn you into a beast on the bike.
Welcome back, guys. Again, I'm on the stretching mat, although today I'm not doing stretching. I'm going to show you guys what my activation routine looks like before I hop on the bike. This is really important because I know a lot of you guys, and I've been in the same boat, have suffered from iliotibial band syndrome. Essentially, you've got your TFL and your glute medius joining into the iliotibial band, and when this becomes tight, you end up getting pain around the knee. By strengthening the glute and by activating the glute, you're essentially taking load off the TFL, which allows you to actually utilize that chain a little bit better and remove the pressure from the knee. So today, you need a couple of pieces of equipment. A stretching block, €5 off Amazon, and a band. This is just from a local sports shop. You can get different varieties of strength. This is quite a strong one because I've been doing the glute activations for a long time, but you might need to start with a slightly less rigid band. So first things first, we're gonna jump on the mat and we're just gonna open up the back. This is something I generally do first thing in the morning before I get on the bike. And I've just woken up, had a cup of coffee, and need to wake the body up too. So we're gonna stretch out and do 5 deep breaths. This is gonna just basically open up the glutes a little bit, open up the back, breathe in and breathe out. Similar to the stretching regime we did a couple of weeks ago. From here, we're gonna move into this position. Again, just gonna try and get some mobility through the hips and the back. Just 5 of these today, 2 more. Last one. All right, so from here, we're gonna stand up and we're gonna get our band. So there's a couple of ways you can do this. Pop the band around both legs. Now some people like to have the band up around the knees, and I'd say this is perhaps better if you're just beginning because it's actually quite hard to get the glutes activated, and by running it down the bottom, what you'll find is that you have a tendency for your knees to collapse inwards. We don't want this. Basically, we want the knees shoulder width apart. So for the beginners or those just starting with these routine, band around the knees, and from here, we're gonna basically crab walk. All right, so we're keeping the knees apart and we're slowly walking along like this. And what we're trying to do is basically we're trying to drive the knees apart while we walk along. And what that does is it actually allows us to activate the glutes. So again, just slowly, notice how small these little steps are. It's because I'm trying to control the glutes. I'm trying to engage them. And I'm just trying to fire them up before I get on the bike because this is a big muscle group and we actually need to use this muscle group while we're on the bike. Because if we're not using the glutes, we're using the quads. And when the quads get overloaded, we often have knee problems. So I'll generally do 10 of these, 10 up, 10 back, and I'll do that twice. So we'll go for the second lot. And you'll feel this pretty quickly. I get like a real burn through the glutes, even with the band up here. All right, to the end of the mat and back. So I want you to concentrate on trying to use your core while you're doing this. You want to try and feel yourself as though you're rigid, you know? You're like, think of yourself on the bike. You're not all loose on the bike. You want to be planted, rigid, using the muscles effectively. All right, and there we go. And the glutes are burning. So I'm gonna do this one quickly, just because my glutes are already on fire. But if you've done this before, you've used the band around the knees, the next step up is to basically put the band around the feet, and you'll find this just provides a whole lot more tension on the glutes. But notice, I'm still trying to keep my knees apart. I'm still trying to fire the glutes. This is just harder to do so. And back, this is literally burning. You know the glutes are on fire, you know the glutes are working when you get the real burn in the back. Well, in the glutes, I should say. So, that's the first exercise done. The second exercise involves the block. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm basically gonna pop the block on the floor. And by putting the block here, it basically gives me something to put my foot on, but it forces me to have to balance and use my core. So by putting it on the ground, that's fine. Perhaps when you start off, you can put your foot on the ground and do it from here. But what I've found is that I like to have the block because it gives me something and forces me to use the core to balance. So I'm basically gonna drive up here with my hips. Hips are level, hips are square. I'm gonna put one foot up. I'm gonna bend from the hips down, and then I'm gonna drive up, just using the glute to drive me through. And once you do that first exercise with the band, and you move on to this one, you find that you pretty quickly begin to burn through the glute. So I might do anywhere from 5 to 10 of these, just depending on how fatigued I am from that first exercise. And the focus here, again, is keeping the hips square and driving up with the glute. I want you to always imagine that you're on the bike. When you're on the bike, you're trying to be as square as you can be. And so when you're on the mat stretching or activating, you want to mimic that. You want to be square and balanced. So a couple more of these, and then we're basically ready to ride. 2 more. All right, and that's done. Again, you don't need the block. The block is just a little trick. The block is just basically a little trick that you can use to get that core activated before you jump on the bike as well. And there you have it. That's my pre-ride activation routine. My glutes are on fire. I know now that if I get on the bike and I pedal off from home, I'll actually be utilizing the right muscle group. The key here is to do this immediately before you go for a ride. If you wait 20 minutes after you've done this, you'll find that these muscles turn off. So get that done. I'll normally do this while I'm in kit. I'll grab the bike and I'll go, and I'll basically know that I'm using the right muscles, and yeah, my power, my output, everything's balanced. So hope that's been insightful. Hope you guys have learned from it, and I hope you guys can put it into practice. See you next week.
Give me a like and a subscribe. Chiming in below, letting me know how many watts your FTP test has increased since undertaking these exercises.